Hey, all right. My boy is uploading. We watching shit.
11, the show where 11-year-old kids have an easier time defending the planet from literal football playing aliens who were destroying buildings with their shots than they did playing in the World Cup.
I'm still young, you know. I'm only in grade 6 after all.
What?
I'm only in grade 6 after all.
Yep. I'm back with this madness. Yep. Back with this madness.
I always found it reason why 11 chose to protect the original story. It starts with us like this semi-normal sports anime with a tournament arc, and then it goes to season 2, and they are playing against Nen users, Jutsu sorcerers, and Dragon Ball characters, trying to take over Japan, just for season 3 to return to them playing a regular tournament in the World Cup, which is somehow more difficult than playing against these intergalactic terrorists. Make it make sense. Anyways, this video has been a long time coming. You guys have been hounding me on every single platform possible. Matter of fact, some guy found me on Marvel Rivals and told me to make this video. So you already know what time it is. Let's cut the yapping and get straight into the meat of the tales. Firstly, a quick recap from episode 67. This has been a while. At the end of the saga, my favorite Inazuma 11 player and GOAT, Sean Frost, managed to break free from his split personality disorder on some Yuji and Sukuna timing, scoring a goal and unlocking a new dual shot with Axel. The team beat the aliens 4-3 after doing a Super Saiyan God ritual for their final goal, just for it to be revealed that they weren't actual aliens, but just a bunch of kids getting Zenkai boosted by literal space Zard, and somehow, some way, this apprentice of Shaitan Grey Dog was involved. There is a real case to be made for this man to be considered as one of anime's biggest villains, because tell me why he literally transcends his own show and even appeared in Blue Lock.
Nigga, I know it's you. Nigga, I know it's you.
Where every player in the world gets a chance to represent their nation and bring home the gold.
He's done it.
Well done, right? Bring yourself some tea and biscuits for that one.
Oh yeah, we going to the World Cup.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I heard Senshi with the England team, though.
Senshi? Come on. He looked like Deji in the face. I ain't not worried about no Senshi.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. The U.S. definitely taking this one home.
Italia is going to win the World Cup. That's a little prolevich.
He getting crossovers now? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sensi has no chance.
I'm sorry, Habibis, but we are bringing home the gold.
Hey
As you
yo.
can see, the lineup is looking insanely stagnant. Wait a minute. Hold your barnacles. I hope that ain't who I think it is.
Hey yo.
Fast forward a couple weeks after the alien
Hey yo.
gets called up by the
Hey yo.
government for the official trials to decide who will represent Japan. And let me tell you, this is my Avengers Infinity War, because we got all the OGs putting back up. Darren, Scotty, Herbie, Sean, Ford, that one brother from the Ginyu Force, David from Royal Academy, and they even invited actual real-life terrorists. Like, how are these guys not in jail? Like, Javier, I understand you're a good guy, but he still committed war crimes. I'm sick. And it's not just him. I know you remember this guy. The man that destroyed their whole school got invited to play for their team. Just because they tried to turn him into a fanboy doesn't make me forget his war crimes. And if you thought these two weren't enough already, they already added Caleb Stonewall, an actual disciple of Grey Dark and arch nemesis to Jude Sharp. I'd be sick if I come to find out my biggest op is playing for the same team as me. This is probably how Yamcha felt when Vegeta randomly got accepted as one of his Z fighters and took his girl after almost destroying the entire planet.
You burned my house to the ground! My family's dead! What do I do?
There are officially 22 players, but only 16 players.
Why did he put the original clip?
So to decide the first
Why did he put the original clip?
trial match. The teams are pretty
Where the fuck did he find the original clip from?
Darren on one team, and then we have Mark, Sean, and Kevin on the other. As they prepare for the game, it's revealed that Lenny will be in Japan to go on some type of secret side quest. Damn, bro. Mark looking good at Harrow, like they've been pushing all sorts of people on this man. Whole time he's just oblivious like Luffy. Almost the whole country showed up for the game, and this got me so hyped. And the squabble commenced. Javier dribbles the ball and passes it to Kevin. He body feints Caleb, but gets hit with a spilled up tackle by Nathan. Jude advances possession to Axel, who hits 4 with a nutmeg, and this man 4 is too small to be playing football, out here looking like a Dama Traore. Axel flies up into the air and hits us with the OG fire tornado, but Mark pulls out the OG God hand and saves it. Sensational. Seeing these boys going at it just brings a smile to my my face. They counter and Kevin summons his blue eyes white dragon to try and score on Darren, but he must have forgot that this man's is the real life truth from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because he uses his ultimate, saving the shot. Caleb turns over possession though, which allows Team Mark to counter, and Xavier's Meteor Blade is still as cool as ever as he officially makes it 1-0. Jude and Caleb have zero chemistry, straight red links. This would be like putting KDB and Courtois on the same team. If you know, you know. On a side note though, I actually kinda like Caleb's character. Like, I don't know what it is about him. I'm sure the other 3 Caleb fans will understand me. He spots that the wannabe Ginyu member is getting a load and not getting the ball. So Caleb tells Scotty and Nathan to step up and play a high line before rage baiting him into an ISO. He waits for the very last moment to move forward, putting him in an offside trap. This guy's ball IQ is off the charts. Off topic though, this character design gotta be racist. Inazuma 11 is
What?
really the darker skinned characters like his DBZ. I know Uncle Ruckus had something to do with this. Caleb continues his dribble and targets the Tokyo Revengers character, almost chipping the ball into the goal. Caleb stonewall. I was not familiar with the game. The match continues and Axel lines up a fireball storm, destroying Mark's fist of justice to make it 1-1. Kevin responds with another Wyvern crash to make it 2-1 to Team Mark. We get to see this new guy called Austin Hobbs, and he's kind of cooking, dribbling past 4, but after getting in a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, Bro decides to do a pass back instead of shoot. What in the Arteta mindset is going on? The second half begins, and everyone is just popping their ultimates and showing off their domain expansions. The ball gets flicked over to Jordan, and
Fucking
he hits
domain
a
expansion.
classic, shooting an Astro Blade through Archer into the bottom corner. I know Archer felt just like Ramambi, tanking this nuclear explosion to the chest.
Not future. No. Yo. Yo. This nigga says you're stupid. This nigga says you're stupid.
To lose a bunch of momentum. I thought he was going to be hot garbage, but he might have some potential. Mark plays out the ball to Hurley. He starts water bending. When the ball deflects to Sean, he pops the legendary roll, breaking through Darren's moving the hand to make it 2-3 to Mark. This basically means that Sean Frost solos the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood verse. I don't make the rules. The match ends.
Nah, I don't make the rules, bro.
We get to meet the new coach, Percy Travis. He begins naming the team, and this feels like the Blue Lock 11 starting lineup review. So the official representatives of Team Inazuma Japan will be Jude, Axel, Sean, Xavier, Nathan, Scotty, Hurley, Four, Darren, Caleb, Austin, Archer, Jack, Todd, and finally Mark. Damn, bruh. This is the second time Kevin has been hold. The others for sure wasn't making it, but we really chose Archer over Kevin? Like, come on, bruh. This must be how Baro and Shido fans felt seeing the Blue Lock lineup against Nigeria.
This nigga's legendary? Based on what? What has he done? How long has he been in the game?
Well, I know he got
Who the fuck knows who Scrunchu is outside the local ghetto community of comedy?
I know who he is.
After integrating with the team and the new facilities, the coach pulls up and explains that his daughter Kami will become the new manager of the team. And I don't know how to explain it, but there's for sure something going on between her and Mark. Mark swears he remembers her from kindergarten, but she don't have a clue who Dora is. The coach gets the business and starts violating the team, saying they are actually nowhere near good enough to fight on the world stage, just because they beat a couple of fake aliens. And my response to that is, who are they going to be playing in the World Cup? Satoru Gojo? Time All Might? Yujiro Hanma? Like, come on, bruh. The new coach is, let's say, strict and direct, because during the training match he also tells Jack to like stop standing around and start moving, and actually compliments Caleb for playing rough, which leads to everyone starting to think that the coach is like a bad guy. Celia and Willie go to the Football Association to try and find some info on Travis when they figure out that there is a big rumor about him previously having destroyed a whole football team and being labeled a cursed coach. Damn, the plot thickens. Fast forward and it's time for the official draw. How it works is that the world has been split into 5 regions, and each region will have a knockout stage battle to decide who will represent each region. The Asian region has teams consisting of Korea, Australia, Qatar, Saudi, Japan, and some others who didn't even get mentioned. Inazuma Japan's first game will be against Australia, so they want to use the remaining time wisely and keep trading. But that's when Coach Travis pulls up and straight up says that no one will be allowed to leave that room until the game day. This is probably how Manchester United feels listening to our Almiron's pre-game tactics. The team is reasonably so outraged, and we get a little montage of all of them trying to sneak out and go and train, but Coach Travis is holding down a fort like a Five Nights at Freddy's security guard. After a few more attempts, Hurley decides to do a solo bus run, and he caught Coach Travis lacking, so he skedaddles out of there to go and train. But when everyone else tries to leave, bro's back at spawn. Some more time passes, and these hooligans pull up to the training facility, and my Tokyo Revenge's character comparison from earlier isn't even starting to sound that crazy, because they are part of a gang looking for Archer. The difference between Japanese gangs, UK gangs, and US gangs is always so funny to me. Big fella over here is holding a damn broom. This Labubu can't be any taller than 3'4", built like your Kaizen, and bro Chacho with the skateboard is wearing a crop top in 2006. He must be a Carti fan. Archer asks the coach if he's allowed to go see them, and he lets him. So it turns out that Archer was actually a certified roadman before joining the team, and was scouted by Coach Hillman for his amazing strength in his leg. So these actual bums, certified losers, are asking bro to quit his chance at professional football for the Japanese national team to come be a thug. What? Do you know how much money there is in football? Imagine your day one gets scouted to go and play for England in the World Cup, and you start influencing him to stay on the streets instead. The CIA is up 1,000 right now. John Morant is corrupting the youth. We cut back to the team, and after a bunch more attempts, they just fold and start training in their rooms instead, working on drills in tight spaces, whilst Hurley works on his new move in the ocean. 2 days pass, and it's officially time for the Football Frontier International's first game. The starting lineup is Axel on strike, Sean on the left wing, and Xavier on the right. We got Jude, Nathan, and Jordan on midfield. In defense, we got Jack, Scotty, Fo, and Hurley, and of course Big Stepper, ball stopper, Mark in goals. It's a solid lineup. My goal really getting that borrow treatment though. They kick off and start their attack, but Team Australia is running that prime PSG levels of pressing. I'm talking about 4 man on the ball off rip. They snatch the ball and take the shot, summoning an actual Megalodon. I'm talking about a brother from Jaws, penetrating Mark's fist of justice, making it 1-0. This move is called the box lock defense, and please, whatever we do, don't let Arteta see this move, bruh. He's gonna put together the most haram tactics known to man.
Yo. Hey yo, what the fuck?
Coach Travis is standing there like,
yo, them lyrics was wild.
You gotta put pressure on me. Whilst Caleb is on the bench,
yo, them lyrics was wild, yo.
The game continues, and Australia is playing prime Arteta and Yahoo ball, prime Simeone ball, prime Stoke ball, pure defense and capitalizing on the counter attacks, forcing Inazuma 11 on the back foot. The coach finally says something and explains that the answer for beating the defense is inside them. Jude begins the next attack and realizes that this defense is just like being trapped in a box, as he begins evading and holding onto the ball like Sergio Busquets before capitalizing of their mistake and getting the ball to Axel, who does the same thing as Jude and passes it to Sean, who gets the first shot of the game. But this is still a world-class team, so they'll have a world-class goalkeeper. Bro summons a water wall like he's a waterbender during a full moon and blocks the shot. Axel intercepts and follows up with a fireball storm, but Katara's cousin manages to block that too. Australia makes some subs, and these guys are now more focused on individual defending because they've done subbed in the boulder from Avatar The Last Airbender. The game is very even right now as Jude carries the ball when 2 Australia players come in for a double slide tackle. Ref! Do something. This can't be legal. Jude dodges the first one, but the second one genuinely flatlines it. No card, no nothing. Jude is completely injured and forced to be subbed off for Austin Hobbs. Coach Travis also says he knew that Hurley snuck out and wants him to score a goal with the new move that he's been working on. The second half starts and Austin is already cooking. I can tell he's gonna be tough. He passes it to Axel, he gets his fireball storm saved again, but that's when Hurley has this great eureka moment and figures out how to break through. He leaps 20 feet into the air and evolves his tsunami boost, breaking through the barrier reef, making it 1-1. That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. Jude realizes that this coach is in strike based on par with Eisen. It's like he predicted everything that was about to happen, so he asks him about the rumors, but Travis is nonchalant maxing and tells him that it's none of his business. That's when Coach Hillman pulls up and he explains everything. He used to coach a team called Sakurazawa Jr. and they were the favorites to win the Football Frontier tournament. But one day, before it was about to begin, they got into a fight with another team where a player got injured. Now, if they had reported it, the team would have been disbanded and the Sakurazawa player's career would have been ruined. So Coach Travis instead decided to shoulder all of the blame, harboring the nickname of the cursed coach. Damn, he really sacrificed himself, but it doesn't just end there, because the team they got into a fight with was Royal Academy, which means Ray Dog. This is Blackbeard levels of hating, moderate levels of hating. This man hasn't been on screen in like 40 episodes, and he's still the main villain. My respect for Travis on the other hand has gone all the way up. The game resumes and Team Australia brings on another player to man Mark Hurley, the same way people got Steph in the NBA. The entire team is marked and Jack has the ball, so now he's forced to run it up like he's Kurt Zuma. He plays a through ball to Austin, who dodges the defender and passes it to Axel, who evolves mid-game, turning into Lord Ozai, sending a whole fireball into the back of the net. Look at the Australia goalkeeper. This is probably how Goku and Raditz felt when taking that blast from the special beam cannon. And that's it. It's officially 2-1. Axel isn't happy though, because Austin got that reverse blue lock mentality. Bro would rather pass than shoot an open goal. The next team they play against is the Qataris, but before we can do that, we get a couple side quests. Celia, Mark, Axel and Cammy were walking down the road to check up on Austin when Archer's purple hand gang pulls up and starts harassing Cammy. My nonchalant dreadhead Axel was ready to stand on business, but that's when Archer pulls up talking pure smack.
You ain't never gonna be shit. Your mama wasn't shit. Your daddy wasn't shit. You think you gonna be some shit?
This feeling guy has taken over the gang and is now wreaking havoc.
You
Bro
think you
thinks
gonna
this
be
is
some
insane.
shit?
He orders Archer's old friends to jump him when Archer clocks his foot back and practically off-screens 3 of them. Archer was really a demon in the streets. He probably solos Mikey, Sakura, and Yusuke Urameshi in a 3v1. Mark breaks up the squabble, and this guy decides to leave. Archer dips out 2 on some casual shit, so Mark and the others make it to Austin's house. Austin's sister Rachel lets them in, and Austin's mom explains that because she's been so ill, Austin and Rachel have been helping her run the restaurant. So every single day after training, he goes and does a full night shift as a delivery boy. Austin is such a goat, bro. I already liked him before, but I like him even more now. I know for a fact their family restaurant has some good eats. Hey, not to sound insensitive, but you know you're about to eat some of the best Asian food of your life when there's a little boy at the counter taking the orders. As I said, Mark being Mark wants to help him out, so everyone tags in and they start their cooking mama side quest to help Austin and his family. This is really the type of random side quest Persona fans need to do so that they can get back to their dating simulator. Even though this is explained as to why Austin leaves training early, it still doesn't explain why he refuses to take shots even when he's one-on-one with the keeper. Fast forward and they get ready to start the Qatar game. Inazuma 11 is
I know he took a shot, but
last game
whatever.
was Qatar's sweet mother of pearl. Hello, Habibi. And what might your name be? You free on Thursday?
Think I can get your name? Are you serious, my brother?
Sorry, we must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused. They kick off, and you can see that the Qataris are a powerful and aggressive team, but Inazuma Japan is matching them. Jude passes the ball to Axel, he lays it off to Sean, he pops his legendary wolf as the Qatar defender wittingly takes this nuclear bomb to the abdomen. The ball goes out for a corner, so Nathan lines up to take it, and just when I thought he fluffed it, this man uses Itoshi Rin, levels of curl, and it flies into the top corner. This is the type of goal you can only score when the wind speed is like 90 miles per hour. Qatar tries to counter, but Jordan snatches it, he lays the ball off to Sean, who dummies it to Xavier, who uses his meteor blade, making it 2-0. I really thought this was gonna be a 10-0 game at this rate. Yo, off topic, man. This character design has to be racist. The animation team consisted of Ghetto Frieza and Toby Rama. The hairline, the goatee, the eyebrows. I wouldn't be surprised if his name was Abdi Rahman. Out here looking like AJ Shabil.
Yo.
Yo, I'm sorry. No hate to my Somali brothers, bro. It's all love. The half ends 2-0 and everyone is fried. Stamina meter depleted, looking like Link in the Gerudo Desert. Whilst the Qatar team looks like they barely even played, it's not looking good, bruv. The second half begins and the guy with the Durag blitzes through Jordan and Jude and outmaneuvers Forrest Scotty, forcing a fist of justice out of Mark. The ball goes out of play, but Jordan is knocked and has to be subbed out due to a cramp. Coach Travis makes his substitute and brings on Todd. Since he's fresh, he can easily keep up with the Qataris, but the rest of the team is moving way slower. They snatch the ball off him and go for the counter. Haley tries to stop them, but they
got a ball hog at that point.
Zero beam struggle before the Qatar player knocks both the ball and Hurley into the net for the first goal of the game. It's 2-1. Comeback son. This is pure raw strength and domination. Since they played and trained in the Arabian Peninsula, their heat resistance and stamina is far better than the Japan team. Hurley and Xavier are the next to tap out, so Coach Travis brings on Archer and Darren. Bro, I understand Caleb has zero chemistry, but bringing on your backup goalkeeper and someone who can't even do 10 keep-ups is insane. They kick off and manage to get the ball to Sean for a legendary wolf, but the Qatar keeper begins animation cancelling into the air, creating a sandstorm, saving Sean's shot. Sean is perplexed and it's fair enough, bro tapped out. This guy grew up in minus 11 degrees Celsius, freezing weather of Hokkaido. Bro probably thinks he's in a sauna right now. Caleb thinks it's finally his time, but Austin gets the call and replaces Strong Frost up top. Similar to Todd, he's easily able to keep up with the opponents and dribbles past both of them, coming one-on-one with the keeper. But instead of shooting, he cuts it back to Axel, and this Qatar player intercepts it. And bro, I know I keep bringing up the character designs, but come on, this man got a whole yam on his face.
Get that yam off your face, nigga. Big yam face.
They go on the counter, but Darren catches up with the tackle. Nathan dribbles the ball to the corner, crossing it in, but just when it seems like it's about to be intercepted, Austin pulls through with a chest control and has an actual open goal. Look! It's physically impossible for the keeper to get it. He's in the 5-yard box. This is genuinely an open goal. But Austin randomly gets some type of Mushika Tensei flashback and gives the ball to Axel. Astaghfirullah. Look at this frame, bro. Where is his egoist mentality? He always selling my team harder than Mudryk in 2023. Axel angrily takes the shot and the keeper saves it with his sand bending. Axel confronts him when Austin says he just shouldn't shoot. This being Inazuma 11, I thought they were holding his mother hostage and they were gonna kill her if he scored or something, since they did something similar to Axel's sister. But no, the real story is so basic. When he was younger, he was way better than all the other kids and he just kept scoring goals, to the point that the people around him started calling him greedy and selfish, so he decided to stop scoring and instead pass to his teammates so that they could score instead. Ego Jinpachi, I need you to have a word with this young lad over here. The Desert Lions go on the counter when their striker takes a shadow clone shot, but Mark manages to save it as it goes out for the corner. Short corner taken quickly gets played out when they cross it in for a fast header, making it 2-2 with less than a minute left of injury time. Inazuma Japan is basically fried because if this game goes into extra time, they won't have any stamina left to compete. Austin is still on his nonsense passing the ball to Axel, so Axel blasts it back at him and basically tells him to lock the hell in. This is the damn World Cup, not a 7-a-side kickabout at Power League. Everyone wants to win, no one cares who scores the goals. It's just about winning as a team. Don't put on a show, you win the game. Don't put on a show, you win the freaking game. That speech from my nonchalant freeform demon Axel Blaze shocks Austin right into gear. It's like he's a whole different person. The confidence is oozing through the screen. The Desert Lions go on the attack, but Archer presses them, allowing Nathan to intercept it. Jude passes to Archer, who comes face to face with the 3 Qatar players, but dribbles past them like prime Neymar. It's that real Joga Bonito. His theme starts playing, and bro is just dancing through the field with a smile on his face like Rafael Leao. He continues to advance when Austin comes face to face with the keeper and uses summoning jutsu to summon a literal Siberian tiger, and boom, clouds it past the Sand Tornado. That's what I'm talking about. He's the real MVP. Seeing him all smug makes me happy, man. Bro did a full 180 from a humble boy to an Asagi level problem. Jack begins asking the real questions and wants to know why they didn't bring this guy to fight the aliens and where he was when they were fighting against Greek gods. That's when Austin explains that he was way too young to be allowed to play. This demon is in 6th grade. For all my non-Americans, if you're in 6th grade, that means you're between 11 and 12 years old. What? So when I was playing with Skylanders and watching Victorious, this man was scoring for his national team. Yeah. The team is starting to really come together. Everyone is really cooking. Well, almost everyone. Archer out here red timing passes, and Caleb is beginning to rage bait him because he's upset that Archer is getting playtime and he isn't. Archer has been getting trained in secret by Coach Simon because apparently he reminds him of himself when he was younger. Was Coach Simon really out there putting belt to ass in the streets of Japan? Mark is trying to figure out what's up with Archer, so Simon sets the two of them up to have a good old-fashioned kickabout, and it's honestly pretty wholesome. It seems like Archer has a confidence issue since he's afraid of making mistakes whilst playing, but he's slowly starting to get the hang of it. On the other hand of things, Jordan is struggling with a conundrum that I like to call comparison is the thief of joy. He sees all these Gon and Killers around him advancing at insane rates and coming up with new killer techniques, whilst he's unable to keep up, making him feel like Zeusy. The rest of the team agrees to work on their offensive power since a lot of their shots have been getting stopped. We get this nice little training montage of everyone trying to up their own power level. Got my man Caleb out here moving like Gran Torino, and Archer is actually showing some type of potential, being able to block a shot with some type of wind barrier. Fast forward a few days and Inazuma Japan gets ready to have their practice game when Dewalin, the Alias Academy goalkeeper and striker from season 2, and Sean's arch nemesis pulls up. He says his real name is Dave Quagmire. Okay, that's such a stupid name, bro. And explains that he's now part of the Japan neo-national team, compromised of a bunch of people who didn't even get called up to the Japan trials, and they are being led by none other than my #1 up, Coach Lena Schiller. Damn! They say that they want to play a game against Inazuma Japan, and if they win, they'll be allowed to take over and represent Japan in the World Cup. Sounds familiar. You mean to tell me that Blue Lock really copied my GOATs, Inazuma 11, with the U20 versus Blue Lock match idea? Game recognized game. Coach Travis has the choice to decline and keep it stepping, but this man is a real gambler, ready to stand 10 toes. He accepts and they start the game. Dwalin is now playing in midfield. His versatility is crazy. I just gotta respect his drive and hunger. He trying to let the world know they missed one. The game kicks off and Sean blitzes past the first guy and passes it to Austin, but they manage to tackle him. They keep trying to run through and break down their defense, but they get stopped every single time. They finally manage to break through as Sean takes another legendary rope shot just for the ex-Royal Academy keeper to pull out Dwalin's Gurren Lagann-ass move. I know Sean got PTSD seeing the move that almost drove him into actual insanity a few arcs ago. Neo Japan starts a counter with Dwalin, but Bro uses Jude's illusion ball to get past them and then uses a Zeus Jr. speed blitz to get past 4. We got a whole bunch of Sharingan users on this team because Dwalin passes the ball to the striker from season 1, who all of a sudden has the ability to manipulate the space-time continuum and takes a shot from a whole pocket dimension just like Dwalin. I'm actually perplexed.
What the
Mark tries to
fuck,
hold it
bro?
down with a fist of justice, but it just gets blasted through, making it 1-0. What? I did not expect them to score after one attack, and honestly it makes sense. All these guys at one point or another were stronger than the Inazuma Japan players, so it's fair to say that with a couple of Zenkai boosts, they'd be able to compete. The Neo-National Japan team is actually just spamming ultimate moves like it's overtime in Marvel Rivals, as they show a whole montage of these guys training the same way Poe was training to be the Dragon Warrior. Football cannot be this deep. They take another Gagne shot, but Mark easily stops it this time, so they switch their attack with another Zeus Jr. super shot, but luckily Mark's locked in and keeps it out the net. Nathan has just returned from his side quest, so Coach Travis swaps him for Archer because it seems like he's figured out this new move. Yu takes the ball from Dwalin and gives it to him as Bro actually starts flying through the air like that one demon from Yu Yu Hakusho. He passes it to Axel, who takes a fireball storm shot, who once again breaks the drill smasher shot he broke in season 2. How nostalgic. It's now 1-1 and Neo National makes some substitutions. They kick off and Xavier steals the ball back, so he passes it to Jordan, who has found some new success as Bro turns into Kizaru and actually moves at the speed of light. These guys are evolving mid-game. He passes it to Axel, who takes another fireball shot, but they hit us with a throwback move from season 1, using the Great Wall of Bossing Say to stop it. Inazuma Japan takes about 20 shots, but every single one of them has been blocked by the Infinite Wall. Neo Japan finally gets a counter, and it's none other than Dwalin. How nostalgic. He pulls up, and this man backs out Byron's God-knows shot and sends the terror bomb at Mark, who manages to keep it out. Even Mark has evolved. Seeing all these moves is just the ultimate fan service for OG Inazuma 11 fans. It makes me feel like a kid again. After he saves the shot, Coach Travis makes a couple of changes and Bro hits us with a certified hood classic and puts Mark into the midfield and Darren in goal. The squabble continues. Neo Japan was all out attacking before they pull out the Ginyu Force shot of Kuroko Junior High. And the way they hype this up, I thought they might actually score, but Archer charges at the ball and barely misses it, but the shockwave caused by their swing took almost all momentum away from it. Sensational. Bro has some type of super hidden defensive move, but just doesn't know how to wield his power yet. We have like 5 Evos in one game, and if the fan service wasn't enough, we got a heated battle between Mark and Dwalin before Mark passes it to Jude, who sets up the iconic Inazuma break. This shit means something to me, man. It's 2-1, and even though it wasn't an official game, it was still extremely hyped because of the stakes and the return of so many beloved old characters. They return to regular training as they prepare for the preliminary finals. That's when Coach Travis pulls up on Mark and tells him that him and his current team won't be able to win the game. So he starts brainstorming to figure out how to improve himself and the team. Kami is worried about Mark, but this gossip girl Sue mistakes her emotions for Kami being in love with Mark, so tells her a bunch of BS, which basically makes Kami take Mark on a whole slice of life season in the span of one episode. Like I said earlier though, Mark is a real shonen protagonist. He wouldn't be able to tell a girl liked him even if she outright confessed. Anyhow, it did kinda work out because he got some inspiration for his new move. Whilst all that was happening, we finally, after like 80 episodes, get some more background lore on Axel. His little sister is all healthy and his family got a maid. Yo, this house is kinda big. And his dad is Bengali? I knew my goat Axel was mixed race. He was what? Light skin aura. Joke aside though, Axel's dad wants him to quit playing football so he can move to Germany to focus on his studies and become a doctor, because he hates football due to the danger it puts his family in. And honestly, you guys probably thought I was gonna disagree, but look at it from a non-biased perspective. Just because his 15-year-old son was good at football, his youngest daughter got into a car accident orchestrated by Ray Doc. He was being blackmailed by aliens and was forced to move into hiding into a like random Japanese island. I'd hate football too. This man went through all that because he was good at scoring goals. I understand his father. Put the football boots down, son. Axel is very distracted and doesn't know what to do, seeing as his dad hasn't given him any other choice. He even called the school and told them to withdraw him from the team. Him and Austin are still working on a combination shot between Tiger Storm and Fireball Storm, so he goes to his dad and asks him to allow him to play the final game so that he can take his team to the World Cup before he leaves to Germany, and his dad accepts. And man, this is such a good representation of male depression and struggle. This boy is going through an existential crisis due to parental pressure and outside forces, and he's bottling it all up. Celia and Sylvia even end up noticing that he's sad, but Nathan just thinks that he's fired up for the game. It perfectly encapsulates male friendships. Take this as a notice to check up on your homies. They could be going through something and not even telling anyone. They all continue to train, but it's still clear that Axel just isn't able to focus properly because his duo move with Austin is not coming together the way it should. However, in other news, mid-training session, Mark gets a letter in his grandfather's handwriting that says, "I'll be waiting for you at the top." And everyone agrees that it really might be real because Mark's grandfather has handwriting that looks like straight poneglyphs. Mark shrugs it off and continues training and takes the letter to Coach Simon, who all but confirms that Mark's grandfather might be actually still alive, and him and probably Nelly too are looking into it. What in the Attack on Titan plot twist is even happening right now? Mark's grandfather is pulling an Obito on us. After getting hit with his life-altering news, he runs into Axel training by the riverbank, and he too notices that there's something wrong, but Axel nonchalantly shrugs it off before sitting down and telling him everything. Mark is obviously upset. He's about to lose his day one for a second time. A few days passes and they find out that they will be playing against the South Koreans, who beat Team Saudi Arabia 4-0, and they are the current favorites to win the tournament. They all get hyped up to train when coach takes them to this doo-doo mud field and tells them they can only play in here until the day of the game. I feel their pain. This is really on par with the average Sunday league field on a rainy Tuesday night in Stone. Everyone is reluctant, but Axel steps in as everyone follows suit as they continue their training up. Mark goes to find Axel's dad and begs him to let him keep playing football with his heartfelt message and sincere bow. But I just realized where Axel got all his nonchalance from, because his pops just shrugs Marks off and keeps it stepping. After a couple more days of training, it's finally match day, but as they are driving to the stadium, this bum that lost a 4v1 is back wreaking havoc. You have no aura, bro. The only tough thing about you is your bike. Archer, Mark, Thor, and Hurley are ready to squabble. I have to respect it. I mean, is that my goat Sean in the damn bus? If you don't get your ass on the front lines, did he think we forgot that he literally killed a grizzly bear with nothing but a football?
Just got a job on his flexing nigga. He from Tennessee, I got a dot. She be with the shit. She told me where he be.
Wow.
Baby, let me know if you wanna eat. She like, fine, you already know. Just put your gun on fleek. I'm like, cool, I can do that, boo. What you want, some shoes? Jimmy Choo with that handbag too. Red
One shot
She
it.
get the smiling. She ain't used to this, cause she ain't used to shit. I just laugh. Could have been a pimp the way I move my lips. I be speeding. Could have been a
But they realize that if they fight, they'll be suspended. So Archer offers to take the fall, but before he can flatline these bums, his day ones, his compadres, his brochachos step in and hold it down, allowing Archer and the team to get away. Hey, Pipsqueak, you're a real ass person. I got nothing but respect for people like you. They make it to the stadium just in time to prepare for their game against Korea when a familiar voice calls out to Mark. Hey, if it isn't my favorite femboy Byron, Gazelle, and the Beyblade protagonist, they are all on Team Korea because it turns out they were actually Koreans. Now then, I gotta make a public apology because we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out the sea.
Yo, what
Because this whole time I thought that Gazelle was a girl, but this whole time she's a boy. This whole time I thought she was a girl, but I've been made aware that I was wrong. So I retract any previous statements that I may have made. Okay, let's continue. The Korean team is actually stacked. Their offense is insane, and the team is led by this guy named Cheng. And this has to be racist, bro. Not only did they violate with the voice actor, but they made my boy look like Brock from Pokemon. This is foul work. This reminds me of when Solo Leveling violated all the S-rank Japanese hunters to show off Korea's superiority. This is really a back and forth rivalry. Can someone explain to me the beef between Japan and Korea and China? Like, what's going on? Apparently this Cheng guy is meant to be some
real nasty
insane
war
football
beef.
strategist of this generation.
There's some
but they
actual
must
real
not be
history
familiar with
there.
my goat Jude Sharp. They get ready to start the game when Coach Travis asks Mark whether he thinks they have what it takes to win the game. And here bro goes again with these riddler questions. Mark says they are going to win, but Travis replies and says that Inazuma Japan will be able to win this upcoming game, and Mark not being able to understand that makes him a failure of a captain as he decides to bench him and play Darren instead. I guess he was Mark to be more critical and work on his battle IQ, because up to now, Jude is the one who's been kind of leading the team with the tactics and the ideas. Mark has kind of just been, there as a morale booster. Jude is the captain for this game, and they kick off with the fast break for Xavier to throw out a meteor blade off rip, but they forget that they had a firebender in net as bro begins slapboxing the ball, returning it to sender. Bro looks like Boom Boom Explosion Man from that one episode. Cheng needs the counter attack and plays a long ball to Byron, who hits us with a certified classic and grows angel wings like he's Icarus and shoots the ball. Darren is the gatekeeper of truth for a reason though, and manages to save the shot. The game resumes and the entire team is genuinely so disorientated. Axel was slide tackling, Archer thinks he's Martinelli, and the rest of the squad is easily getting dribble past. Just when it seemed like Gazelle and Gina are about to break through on goal, my glut shooter Sean whips out a new defensive move called Snow Angel. He freezes both of them and takes the ball upfield and passes it to 4 as they use their new super move called Thunder Beast to break through the Korean keeper's thunderclap to make it 1-0. No cap, it's not ridiculous to say that Sean at this current moment in time is probably the best player on the team. His defensive and offensive capabilities genuinely make him unmatched. Coach Travers isn't smiling though. He's moving like he knows something that we don't. They start another attack, but Sean pulls out the Snow Angel and starts the counter.
Yo!
When these kids begin,
that is not fair. How the hell is he allowed to do that?
Whirlwinds. And just to put it into perspective, a tornado averages out at around 300 miles per hour. That means, with some quick calculations, it's entirely possible to skill almost every single person on this field to at least My Hero Academia level. They really solo your favorite verse. I have never seen Megami pull off a feat like this, I'm just saying. This move is called Perfect Zone Press, and anytime I see a red dragon in any form of fiction, the first thing my brain goes to is that one cartoon I used to watch as a kid called The American Dragon. Let me know in the comments if you remember. The ball ends up getting stolen from Hurley, and he tries to brute force run his way through it, just for bro to get bounced off like he's playing Brawlhalla. They decide to both charge in at the same time, but just as that happens, they undo the jutsu, causing both of them to collide and get injured. Ref, do something. This can't be legal. Both Sean and Hurley have to come off injured, and that's just crazy. They really gave Sean the Levi Ackerman treatment. When you're so overpowered, they have to injure you just to nerf you. The game continues, and this time Thor and Archie get put in the domain expansion. They take it off them and go on an insane counter run before Cheng physically assaults Jack with the ball and passes it to Jean, who takes the iconic atomic flare shot, defeating Darren's Mug in the hand to make it 1-1. These Koreans really came with built-in domain expansions. Where were they when my peoples was getting no diff in Shibuya? The game resumes, and Jude does what Jude does best and quickly realizes that the mud training was all in preparation for this. When you play in a muddy or bad pitch, you often play long ball football to prevent the ball from touching the field as much as possible. That's the way they are going to defeat the perfect zone press. They start back up and they try to trap Jude in their domain, so he boots it up as high as possible as they start keeping the ball in the air and prevent it from touching the ground. Amazing ball IQ. Xavier gets this shot off, but sadly he gets blocked again by the skinhead goalkeeper. Jordan wins the ball back, so Austin and Axel can pull off their counter with their duo shots. I would have put my left ball sack on the fact that Axel was going to score this goal, but he ends up getting distracted by his father, and the ball goes so high it leaves the stadium and maybe ends up in a different stratosphere. Senku's dad probably saw that ball with how far it went. The Koreans go on the counter, and this move gotta be illegal, man. They are not even playing football anymore. Thor is like 300 pounds, pure muscle, and got sent flying into Jude. Thor is out injured, but Jude is also struggling with his ankle. Todd comes on for 4, and even though they managed to figure out the perfect zone press, the individual skills of the Korean team are still out of this world. They steal the ball and play Byron through for a one-on-one, who uses Evo God knows and shatters Mugen the hand to make it 2-1. Enough time has passed. Supercell, please nerf Log and Minor. Coach Travers goes to make some substitutions, and Jude and Jordan are both coming off. The coach noticed Jude got injured earlier, and Jordan's stamina is already starting to deplete. And in place of Jude, they bring on the Joker, the Neil Mope, the Phantom Sixth Man, the Shido, Caleb, Stonewall. I don't care what you guys say in the comments about my dark horse. This guy is always entertaining when he's on the field. Everyone is rightfully so upset, and they rightfully so don't trust him. I wouldn't even when someone has a haircut like this. And as for Jordan, the coach decides to not bring on anyone. He tells them they are going to play on the pitch with 10 men. Caleb laces up his boots as they kick off the game. He instantly goes to try and steal the ball from Jean, basically rage baiting him into overextending. He comes face to face with a career defender and starts doing kippy ups, rage baiting him into overextending too. He then runs all the way back to his own goal and bounces the ball off Jack to beat his man. I ain't never seen nothing like this in my entire life. He does the same to Nathan before
he an asshole.
Ego Jimpachi.
He an asshole.
Into the world's best
he a for real asshole.
Like bro's in the wrong show.
He a for real asshole, bro. He Nigga for
Kane.
real
Another
asshole.
reason he's so obsessed with power was because his father was unjustly fired from his job, which caused his family to become extremely poor, as they were constantly hounded by debt collectors, so much so to the point that they became depressed. His mother's last words to him were that he should become strong and powerful, because then he won't have to go through what they went through. You can imagine telling a young child that type of info. It will completely alter his worldview, so he sucked up to Ray Dark, but when that backfired, Coach Hillman recruited him because of his talents for football, which brings us to the present moment. Coach Hillman is really out here recruiting troubled children of the street like Satoru Gojo. Caleb tries to take the ball up on his own again, as he gets caught in the domain expansion with Nathan, but instead of using the mud training, he just gets the ball stolen. He steals it back though and finally gives the first pass, but it seems to be slightly off. He steals the ball back again, and this time passes it to Jack, but once again it's slightly off. This time though, both Mark and Jude realize that Jack could have got that ball very easily, but because they don't trust him, they are subconsciously holding themselves back. Byron picks up the loose ball and plays a long ball to Gazelle and Jean, who use their Ronaldo twin blade attack. Archer tries to stop it, but completely misses the ball. Darren backs out the Moog in the hand, but it's just not enough to stop it. So Scotty and Tom
that's over, baby.
themselves to keep it out. Mark now realizes that Archer is scared of making a mistake and subconsciously holds himself back. And lastly, Axel and Austin once again fail their big duo shot as it all begins to click for Mark and he's connected all the dots. He goes to Coach Travis and explains that he wasn't looking out for his team properly and was only focused on himself. But now that he's been watching his team from the sidelines, he's been able to identify all the issues. Coach Travis accepts and brings him back onto the field together with Jude. He wastes no time and begins chewing out Nathan and Jack for not receiving Caleb's passes. It turns out that this man is actually a strategist on par with Jude, if not better. He just has horrible people skills. His passes are designed to get the very best out of his teammates, and the little stunt he pulled at the start was to gauge his teammates' strength and the opposition team's strength. He's kind of like Akashi in a sense. The match recontinues and Caleb steals the ball back before giving one of his passes to Jude, who actually connects as they start playing beautiful tiki-taka Barcelona style football. He does the same with Jack and Nathan, who are both now receiving his passes, and I don't know what it is, bro. Just seeing everyone huddle around Caleb and support him truly brings a smile to my face. I'm cheesing ear to ear just recording this. Chen tries to stop Caleb, but Jude comes and supports him as they create an actual rip in the space-time continuum and striking the ball at the same time.
What the fuck?
Flabbergasted. They break through as Caleb flicks the ball into the air for Nathan and Jack to fly up and land a combination.
Oh, what am I
overhead kick to blast
watching?
through Batista and make it 2-2. This is how I'm going to be describing that one Ronaldo bicycle kick to my kids once I grow up. Caleb actually seems to be happy, and I'm just happy that my boy is happy. The game recontinues, and Korea is scrambling to end this game on the fast counter, so they pop it over to Byron, who uses another God break, but Mark punches it out the net. Everyone is happy, but Byron says he expected no less and steals the ball back before doing a trio shot with Gazelle and Jean, evolving the God break into the Chaos break. It's genuinely flying through the air at Mach 10 speed. It looks like something Gilgamesh would conjure up. Mark tries to use the Fist of Justice, but it's to no avail as it shatters right through it. I know for a fact Korea are using Evo credit card, cause this makes no sense. Out to using level 15 P.E.K.K.A in Arena 4 like XTC. Instead of trying to hold the lead and defend, Team Korea goes out for yet another Chaos break, trying to kill the game off completely. But luckily Nathan intercepts the pass and gives the ball to Archer, who completely misses the ball. Coach, just sum him out, bro. Put me in. This man is buns. Mark realizes that Archer's anxiety is at an all-time high, so he explains something to him that's actually quite profound. He asks Archer why he's so scared and further elaborates that you should never be paralyzed by fear, so much so to the point that you're unable to perform at your very best. There is nothing disgraceful about making a mistake. What's disgraceful is holding back in the fear of making a mistake. That's what I call bars. Mark is right, and it's something everyone should take into their real life. Chase your dreams, start that YouTube channel, approach that goal. I'd much rather fail than live every single day of my life knowing that I could have, but having to live with the fact that I didn't. Don't die with regrets, live your life to the fullest. After hearing that hope call, Archer the Eagle spreads his wings as Korea goes for yet another chaos. He jumps off to them and kicks the air so hard it creates a pocket dimension that sucks in the ball. All these little youths really got reality manipulation. But hey, my goat has finally come out of his shell. He's actually a defensive demon right now. Axel lays it off to Xavier, who upgrades his meteor blades and penetrates Johnny's sins, making it 3-3. This is it, the final stand, the last dance. MSN sprints towards the ball and has bypassed every single defender in a blink of an eye, and now it's just them and Mark. He focused all his nen into his fist like prime grown freaks and summons a Susano before hammer fisting the ball into the ground. This man done elevated again. This man done evolved again. Mega Mark kicks the ball up to Xavier, who gets the ball to Axel, and it's now or never. They go for the Tiger Storm. This is it. And they miss? Axel Blaze, bro. You're selling my parlay. Lock in. Even Marcus, I don't understand. He gives Axel another one of them David Goggins speeches talking about some who's gonna carry the boats, and that snaps Axel right back into place. The Korean goalkeeper takes the kick, but my demon Caleb intercepts it, sending it back to Axel, who teams up with Austin for the Tiger Storm. And just by the way Axel's stand was glowing, I knew this was barbecue chicken. Out here looking like Muhammad Avdo. Kratos tries to use one last explosive snap, but that don't work. There's no way out of this one. That's cash. 4-3 to Team Inazuma Japan. But there's still time left on the clock, and you know it's about to go down when the character with this character design fully opens his eyes. He gets the ball to Byron, Gazelle, and Jean, and Mark is having his Cell Saga Gohan moment. The fate of the universe is in his hands. He pops his ultimate and goes into a beam struggle, just about managing to save the ball as the ref blows his final whistle. That's what I'm talking about. This really means something to me. I don't care what anyone says. Caleb Stoney was the man of the match of this game. 2 assists and completely changed the game. And on top of all that, Axel's dad was watching the whole time and has actually decided to let him stay and finish the entire tournament. W pops. And with that, we summarized the Inazuma 11
Saw the joy.
qualifiers. I know I made you guys wait a long time, and I'll make sure to drop a follow-up.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Sometimes you gotta wait for the good stuff. You gotta wait for the good stuff.
Hi, I know everyone loves a super detailed show with insane writing and amazing plot twists, but you know, sometimes I just want to sit down, turn my brain off, and watch 12 episodes of unfiltered straight hands.
I only care about this drama. I've got zero interest in the week.
Did you hear another fight? You're kidding.
Hey yo, not the edits, bro. The edits.
Again? Seriously, he's the worst. Don't get me started about his
His eyes are even worse. He's a walking
Get off me
All
with
about
the
that
edits.
action like Aaron
Get off me
McCormick,
with the edits.
boxing for the love of the game. The only thing is that he minus all the time.
I hate that they be using the edits. Like, I hate it.
You know, Windbreaker kind of reminds me of Tokyo Revengers, minus all the time travel nonsense, and unlike Takemichi, our main character Sakura is actually tough. He's all about that action like Aaron the Plumber, boxing for the love of the game. The only thing is that he's an absolute tsundere, right up there with Tiger from Toradora and Rin from Fate.
I only took him out because I couldn't stand him, not because I was trying to save you, so don't go getting the wrong idea, okay? I'm not. Take that back. Well, you wanna go?
With season 2 just around the corner, what better time than to cover Windbreaker right now? So let's cut the yapping and get straight into the meat and potatoes. The episode starts off with a flashback of our main character getting bullied for looking like Heisei from Tokyo Ghoul Ring before going into an inner monologue where he says that he only cares about strength. We cut over to Shoko, who's getting pressed by some hooligans when Sakura walks over, puts his hand on his shoulder like Uncle Aaron before weaving the left hook and following up with a mean overhand right, just for the next scene to cut over to all of them laid out on the floor. I'm pretty sure Buddy over here got violated.
Oh, he
People
got
get
tooted.
folded like this in novel
He got
rivals and then have
tooted
the
and booted.
audacity to put no heels in the team chat. Shoko tries to thank him, and that's why we see our little tsundere Sakura can't take a compliment. The girl's name is Kotoha Tachibana, and I'm getting a slight bit of deja vu. Sakura is confused as to why she's being so nice to him, and that's also where he explains that he moved to this town so that he could join a school called Furin, which is known to have the strongest fires. So Sakura wants to take the top spot. He basically wants to become the pirate king of that high school. Turns out this town used to be overrun by YNs.
Is this not Crow Zero? See, y'all not old enough to know what Crow Zero is.
Before Furin came,
Maybe a
they
few of
had
you
goals
are, but
protected.
not
That's
all
why
of you.
everyone in the town is so nice to the people that
Not
go
all
to
of
Furin,
you.
which Sakura isn't used to. Sakura leaves the store, and turns out the guy he bodied earlier comes in back with like 30 mans deep, but Sakura stands there, unfazed, before feeding this guy a knuckle sandwich and jumping in like Prime Martyr in 2012. Gives Buddy over here CTE, lands a blow on this guy, and starts combo extending as if he's playing Brawlhalla. Who's bro feeding like Iron Fist? Cheaper Town Hall! He proceeds to put this guy in a blender, and I know he is absolutely bewildered. I am out to hit a moves like he's a cheerleader. Give me a C! Jack from Kicking It thinks he can match Sakura's kicks just to get hit with the Orewada Strikada and gets sent flying like 20 yards. These guys just watch their homies get mixed up by Team
Yeah, I'm
Titan
good.
and Robin and
I'm
still
good.
think they stand a chance.
I'm good.
Uppercuts, easy picking, spinning back fist, Double whammy, liver shot. Hold up. Let me go first person real quick. Mink. Astaghfirullah. We are 10 minutes into the first episode and I'm seeing moves Goku was pulling off in a World Martial Arts tournament. There is no way this man is a regular human. Kotoha ends up getting taken hostage again. Sakura tries to protect Kotoha, but this sequence of flurries reminds me of like a God of War quick time event. One of the goons picks up a knife and cuts Sakura in the leg, and just as it seems like Sakura is cooked, Kisame's half-human cousin steps in to save the day. He knocks out one of the goons before 3 other members from Bofureen walk in like they are Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp in Arlong Park. They get to squabbling and begin no-diffing the remaining bums, and just by the way this man's back, discombobulated into the wall, I can tell he's going to suffer severe long-term effects from this encounter. The fight ends and my Pirate King comparison from earlier isn't even starting to sound crazy. These guys are getting embraced just like the Straw Hat Pirates after freeing a whole country from 10 decades of oppression on a random Tuesday. Sakura seems to struggle with the thought of people actually caring and being grateful to him due to some kind of past trauma, and honestly, I understand what he means. He screams out saying he feels like he can find a place where he's accepted before doing a new Super Mario Bros. Long jump 40 feet into the air. This man has a higher vertical than LeBron James, but has chosen to dedicate his life to boxing bums on the street. Go join the Dallas Mavericks or something, I heard they're understaffed. Fast forward and Sakura is chilling with Kotoha when Hide shows up. Turns out they are in the same grade, and I thought this man was gonna be a Rock Lee type threat.
Nope.
A Luffy type character that can still throw down, you know?
Nope.
Yeah, I could not have been more wrong. But hey, at least he's a righteous guy that will stand up for others. He's more like a Takemichi if anything. Sakura ends up soloing them.
That's the joke.
Doing a little bit of aura farming. Got him standing there like UI Goku. Nira and Sakura go to school together, and this looks like a whole abandoned building. They enter the classroom, and this is looking like the same class Nagisa from Assassination Classroom went to become a teacher. We got some interesting characters. We got Master Jinchi, and is that a Tencent from Hell's Paradise? Even though they all look really intimidating, it seems like they are all super friendly and all instantly accepted him. Well, almost everyone. Because tell me why, we literally got Baji from Tokyo Revengers hurling furniture around. Bro must have got isekai'd. This guy's called Sigesta, and he isn't happy with Sakura trying to take the top spot because it's taken by someone he looks up to. They waste no time and get to scrapping. Tsukasa Flash steps in with the overhand right. Sakura dodges and weaves all his hits. Sigesta tries to speed lit Sakura, but he pulls out a yoga pose and lands a mean counter, got his fingers curling and everything. They go in for the second round, and that's when the megaphone goes off and everyone locks in to listen to the #1 guy out Furin, Hajime Umemiya. I thought he was gonna be a Song Jin-woo level aura farmer, but turns out he's also a goofy. We are really surrounded by a bunch of shonen protagonists. I don't know how to explain it. Even though it's considered a new gen, this anime already feels like a comfort show. The genuine interactions just make me feel like I'm back in high school, hanging around with the homies, indulging in nonsense and ignorance. They have their first class, if you want to call it that, where they patrol the town and do a bunch of D-rank missions for the people of the city. You know, I'm actually slowly starting to think that this isn't even a real school. I have not seen a single teacher, matter of fact, I have not seen a single adult that would be considered in charge. I swear these guys are just a bunch of high school dropouts who turn this abandoned school into
y'all
like
watching
their
this
hideout
shit?
or something. Can someone explain this to me in the comments? I must be missing something.
Yo.
Fast forward, and whilst they're on patrol, they see one of their younglings in the Ops territory getting chased down by their rivals, Shishi Torrent. They have a rule that either side is not allowed to cross into the other side to prevent any wars from happening. This is some East Coast versus West Coast type nonsense. But you already know Sakura don't care about all that, because him and Shigesta just jump in and dropkick this guy. That's when the real demon arrives, and I'll have it be known right now, whenever someone is wearing the Samurai 7s, the Odin 11s, the Jiraiya 4s, there is a 97% chance they are going to be tough. He comes through and basically says that Furin stepped into their turf before smoking one of his own men because he lost the fight. This is that Cobra Kai John Kreese mentality, no mercy. He even ripped off his jacket like when Naruto took Boruto's headband. This gang stuff runs deep. Furin returns to home base to report back to the boss, and Umemiya is low-key pretty chill about it, out here laughing and giggling. This guy reminds me of like a chill, reliable big brother. We end up cutting to the next scene, and it's this short-haired kid dragging a whole human by his hair, whilst leaving a trail of unconscious bodies behind him. Turns out this is the leader of Shishi Torrent, and he's here to run it back for his homie. Also I thought, because this man Choji is on that Kid Buu Battle Beast Aaron the Palmer timing. Look at his eyes, there is not a single thought going through his brain. This guy for sure has autism.
Niggas think I'm fighting to save the day, but really, nigga, I just like to fight.
Turns out he really wants to fight Umemiya because he's bored of constantly being the strongest. He throws a Sanji level kick at Umemiya, but bro just absorbs it. The other guys from Shishi Torrent pull up to back the beef, but they didn't realize all of Furin is ready to squabble. And again, where are the teachers? Shunsui suggests that we basically have a fair 1v1 set of fights where each fighter involved gets to run the fair ones. We're only a few episodes deep and they're already blessing us with a tournament arc. Spectacular. 14 right now. We got Shoji versus Yume Miya, Sakura versus Oliver Ike.
That's probably how the show's gonna go for like 4 high schools. I'm calling it now. It's definitely 4 high schools.
It's Guna versus Sugesta, Guna number 2 versus Suo, and finally, you got Kenma from Haikyuu versus one of Furin's big 4. The lineup is absolutely stacked, looking like Avengers Civil War. Anyways, they start walking through Shishitoran's side of the town, and it's looking like top side and bottom side in Arcane. Night and day difference. We make it to Shishitoran's hideout, and this is the perfect place to have a bout. Stage looking like something straight out of Street Fighter. The first 2 contestants take the podium, and it's Sugesta versus this guy. I'm not even sure what his name is. All I know that someone who's rocking the Gwen Spider-Verse haircut by choice cannot be tough. I guess he should at least be able to put up a decent fight though.
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga.
Slumber.
Nah, this is crazy. Palm struck this man so hard he went into missionary, and then he just stands there like Satoru Gojo. All that talking for what? The next fight is Sokka versus Suo, and you can tell our homie over here is nervous, biting his nails like a high school girl. Where was all this energy from before? He goes in for the hit and gets redirected. Damn! My Aura Scouter is off the charts and oh nah, is that the Rock Lee pose? Go ahead and wrap it up. After the first encounter, I would have told Choji that I had diarrhea or something. I am not fighting this demon. He goes in and again, gets flipped like a Beyblade, goes in again, gets tossed to the floor like a sack of basmati rice, goes in again, and gets full counted like Meliodas. Golly! I know this is gonna be the most frustrating feeling in the whole world. Suo hasn't even thrown a single punch. He's moving like an actual airbender. Got Broski stumbling down there, throwing it back like Ice Spice. Hey yo, hands on the knees is a bit bonkers. Suo hits the golden freezer pose before charging up a serious punch, but luckily for him, Togame calls it there. Man, that fight was amazing. I didn't expect Suo to be that strong. This was like watching Gojo versus One Finger Sukuna. Next up, we got Furin's 4 Kings versus Neko Maseta, who's apparently one of the top 5 in Shishitoran. These 2 used to be friends in middle school because Hiragi saved him from some bullies and taught him how to fight, which made Kenma pledge his life to him by promising Hiragi that he would help him reach the top of Furin. But when he went to Furin and met with Ume Miya, he realized he wasn't built for all that and wanted to help Ume Miya become number 1 instead, which hurt Kenma's feelings. So instead of talking it out, he went and joined the rival gang so that he could one day get his get back. I guess. Anyways, let the squabble commence. They get in and start exchanging, going blow for blow. This is the definition of a high-def matchup. Kenma goes for the kick, pauses mid-air and lets it go like a slingshot. Man's out here using freeze-frame glitches IRL. Hiragi is low-key getting pressed right now, getting sent flying with a fire tornado just to get up smiling like nothing happened. This is gotta be one of my favorite anime tropes of all time. People in anime will get a planet-busting level attack and just get up in the next scene talking about some... This is getting pretty interesting, man. Hiragi goes for the down heavy, shaking the whole floor, and they get back to boxing. Hit for hit, blow for blow, ban for ban. This is beautiful. Hiragi lands a reverse axe kick before catching Bro's fist and landing the nastiest butt check I have ever seen, ending the entire match. Damn. Hey, it's a win-win. Furin takes home the W and 2 old homies make up, and all is well. It's time to get into the real meat and potatoes though. Sakura versus the number 2 guy of Shishitoran. They tee up and let the squabble commence. Sakura goes for the overhand right and gets grappled to the floor. It seems like Togame is using that traditional sumo wrestling fighting technique. He tries to go for the finishing blow, but Sakura blocks the kick and repositions. This is like when you're trying to fight a bigger person and they just keep trying to slam you instead of throwing hands. Sakura continues to try and evade all his takedown attempts, and with these continuous shoot attempts, you'd think Togame was from Dagestan.
If you want your son high-level wrestling, send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
3 years?
Yes.
Yeah, you're out of your fucking mind. 2 weeks.
6 months, 1 time you can call him.
Togame grabs his leg and throws Sakura down before going in with the stomp out of Doom. If that connected, it's wraps. Them Jiraiya 4s are basically the Black Air Forces of Japan. Sakura tries going for the takedown himself, but eats a knee to the face and gets down slammed into the floor. Togame is holding Sakura by the collar and begins talking straight disrespect. Your life is as valuable as a summer ant. Sakura breaks free and goes for a 4-piece combo, landing the jury double head kick to the jugular. They start playing this majestic tune in the background, making me think the match is about to end. Sakura goes in for the head kick, followed by a side heavy to the liver. Sakura continues to apply full court pressure, landing the Shido bicycle kick on Togame, just for bro to clap back instantly. I know Sakura is winning to the max, gasping for air. And you know Togame is a mentally unstable person, because why did he damn near curb stomp Sakura? This could have for real killed him. And knowing what he's like, he for sure posted this one on the gram talking about some yakisoba and takoyaki. This was free eats. Sakura gets up acting like Asta and tells Togame that Shishi Torin are just a bunch of bullies who pick on middle school kids. And bro was perplexed hearing that. Now I'm absolutely convinced that this show is the epitome of ignorance. You mean to tell me that he didn't even know why they were squabbling in the first place? He just turned up, baked like Flight Reacts, and and accepted the terms and conditions to this barbaric medieval death battle. He goes to the two bums that were bullying the middle schoolers and starts beating them up before taking their drip. That's tough. These guys been taking nothing but L's. I might add them to the hall of bombs right up there with Korra, the worst avatar. We end up getting some background lore on Togame and Shoji, and look at this little cutie patootie, bro. This must have been when he still had the light in his eyes. To keep a long story short, long ago, there was this man by the name of King Von who died, and when he died, all his dreads scattered across the world, getting absorbed by all sorts of people like Yujiro Hanma and P. Diddy and many others. Sadly, Shoji came across one of Von's dreads, and that's how he became the crash out that he is today. I'm sorry, brother. I'm so stupid. What actually happened is that Shishitora used to be super chill and similar to Fury, but Shoji was always obsessed with becoming strong and reaching the top, and when he finally achieved his dream, that's when he suffered from something I like to call One Punch Man syndrome, where he became so strong, everything else in life became boring. It's in the human nature to seek challenge and thrill. That's why people fall in love with sports and even video games. So when he ended up getting too strong, he started casting out those he deemed weak, and all the good vibes left Shishitora, as Togame chose to follow Choji instead of actually calling him out for being in the wrong. Like, come on, bruh. You did not have to speed this little bro over here. Togame and Shoji are both low-key good people that got lost in the sauce a little bit. That's why it's important to keep relationships with your parents. You know, speaking of which, where are the adults in the show? No way I'm letting my kid fight these Viltrumites and Super Saiyans unsupervised. They're all gonna be orphans or something, cause ain't no way. We spin back to Squabble, and after seeing the backstory, Togame is starting to look like Yusuke talking about some... It just hit me. I don't know what I'm fighting for anymore. After Sakura's actions got to him, he basically came to the realization that him and Choji went down the wrong path. Sakura Loki took no jutsu this man into realizing he's a bum, got him out of feeling like Zabuza. He takes off the Odin 11s, and the real match is finally about to begin. They're going...
Yes, my little invader, what are you doing? You helping mom feed the animals? Okay.
No, I wasn't gonna feed them yet.
Oh, why? What happened?
Finish. Why are you in the dark?
Because I gotta turn the light on. I'm watching stuff.
So you didn't stream?
I am streaming.
Oh, you're watching stuff on your stream?
Toe-to-toe, an immaculate display of taijutsu, and they are even smiling. CTE gotta be through the roof. It feels like I'm watching Luffy vs Katakuri. They run for another clash, recreating the iconic Dragon Ball scene with their feet. They are both down and start readying up for the final clash. And as it seems Sakura was about to lose, the scene goes into slow motion and Sakura's eyes go fully white as he knocks down the number 2 guy of Shishitora. Absolute cinema. I don't know what it is with new gen anime being able to just draw so much emotion out of their shows in such a short period of time. Like, look at Solo Leveling. Back in my day, this would have been dragged out into a 30 episode arc with a training arc, 3 power-ups, and 7 filler episodes. Choji steps on the scene, seemingly not even caring his day one homie just got slimed out, and when Togame tries to stop him, he gets hit with a Diable Jambe. Had my boy Sakura perplexed.
Is this nigga serious?
Umemiya stopped Sakura from throwing a punch at Choji, and it's about time we let the real final battle commence. Umemiya gives me serious Whitebeard vibes, because even after all the crash out tendencies this man Choji is showing, he is still trying to lecture, bro. Hey, low-key, you should subscribe, you know, like you're clearly enjoying the vid, so why not go down there and hit the sub button? I'd really appreciate it. Shoji Naruto runs into range, weaves the punches and hands Umeme a 4-piece combo to the skull. He sends him back before blocking the kick and weaving the roundhouse. Umemiya continues to block and weave, and low-key, I don't really think he's even trying. Shoji goes in for an attack, but the animation turns into manga and this man loads up a Detroit smash, barely missing him, or so I thought, because Shoji straight up starts bleeding without even getting hit. This fight is basically like Genos vs Saitama. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. Whole parlay riding on Umemiya. Shoji tries to land some more hits, but this guy is just eating all of them, hitting 8 damage pump shots. Now that I think about it, Umemiya is really repping the Joker trench coat from Persona. I know he flicked this one up on the gram talking about some teaching little bro a lesson today. Just another Tuesday. Shoji can't do anything against Umeme right now, and like a baby who isn't getting what he wants, he starts screaming before looking at the camera like Isagi after the slightest inconvenience. Like, bruh, there is not a single football in sight. Why are you wondering the abyss? Shoji goes berserker mode and starts beating on Umemiya before biting him and mounting him, and Umemiya is comforting him. What is happening, bro? Is this still the same show? What is up with all these freaky scenes? Umemiya keeps on lecturing, bro, until he slowly returns back to his past self. Yo, I'm sorry for laughing, but this gotta be an Attack on Titan reference. They got Eren as Shoji, and they got the founding Titan Ymir as Togame. Anyways, to cut a long story short, Shoji returns back to his past self, and you know, that just goes to show the importance of living in the moment instead of constantly chasing the destination. The joy of living lies in the journey of life. If you're so hyper-fixated on reaching a hypothetical goal or achievement, and truly believe that there's no happiness in life unless you reach said goal, then you will be miserable for the rest of your life, always chasing a new high. The beauty lies in making small progress and enjoying the company of those around you. Hey, bro, as long as you guys enjoy my hope core, I'ma keep them coming. But on the real, I really thought this show was going to be mindless violence, but it does really seem like they are trying to like pedal home a message of the importance of human relationships. Humans are social creatures. We are completed when we are surrounded by people who we feel comfortable being ourselves around. And that's why Umemiya is by far my favorite character. Shoji admits defeat in Hanshishi Torin to Umeme, but bro isn't really trying to run all that, so he just proposes that their two teams officially have an alliance. They have their big end of arc banquet and return to usual life. This really brings me back to that early battle shonen feel. The cooldown period where we get character interactions and people going on a bunch of random C-rank missions are equally as important as the big moments in any show. We return to school and we meet this guy with an orange afro who kind of reminds me of the people from the Body Improvement Club. He drags Suro, Sakura and Nire to go for a meal when a pink haired guy comes through with his shorty. Turns out he actually saved the girl from some runners who were harassing her. So when that guy tries to spin back and they naturally get into another outnumbered brawl, I'm just trying to see the two new guys squabble to see if they really like that. Turns out he has some sort of self-imposed heavily restriction where he lets his opponents hit him first before fighting back. This is that Vegeta mentality. So bro picks him up and hits him with a WWE suplex. I know for a fact Body over here is not walking again. We spin over to the pink femboy and this guy gotta be an airbender because he's just palm striking grown men 60 feet into the sunset. Bro over here got hit with a Rasengan. They ended up off-screening the other guys, and it seems like these guys plus Shigesta are considered the top 5 in the class. And not gonna lie, this screenshot is the type of picture that you'd find in your dad's garage, and then when you ask him about it, he's gonna let her like one laugh before never bringing it up again. Fast forward and it's time to pick grade captains on some Classroom of the Elite timing, so naturally they pick our main character Sakura to be the grade captain against his will, so Nire and Suro will be his advisors. We also meet the second year's grade captains Inumaki, whose advisors are Knuckles and the Hentai protagonist. And lastly, we meet the 4 kings of Bofurin. Up until now, I thought this school was like an all-boys school, but it seems like they do maybe have a female section segregated from the male section or something, because it seems like they got Maki and Biscuit as the 2 kings of Bofurin. We cut back to them walking home and they come across one of their classmates out cold, slumped in an alleyway. He tried pretending like nothing happened, thinking he's Zoro, but turns out one of his old childhood friends joined this other gang, so when he tried to pursue him, he ended up getting jumped by a rival gang named Kyo. And I'm not gonna lie, their fits are extremely tough, out here repping the North Face raincoats, looking like they're ready to explore Mount Everest. This guy, however, insists that his childhood friend Nagato isn't like that, so he has reason to believe that he's being held there against his will. And that's when Sakura and all of Bofrin's first years decide they are going to help their homie, Immaculate. This is what real brotherhood is all about, one for all and all for one. I can't wait for season 2. I think it's safe to say that Windbreaker is officially better than Tokyo Revengers, and it clearly isn't just mindless violence, but actually has a deeper message attached to it. But hey, if he made it this far,
I heard him. Go sub up. Go sub this shit up. He said retire my parents. That's a good goal. We should all strive to do that. Nah, he uploaded. I know he did. Where is he? He uploaded. I saw he uploaded. Blue music. Where the fuck is he at? He didn't. Oh, well, that's some ass. That's some ass. For what she uploaded. Oh my. I don't want to watch no ratchet television. I feel like I'm doing ratchet. Ooh. I guess I should watch something ratchet. I don't want to. Actually, no. Let's look at these goddamn games. Alright, ready.
Hey, and we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Silent Hill F. This is just like a completely new Silent Hill game, and this is extremely significant because other than Short Message and the Silent Hill 2 remake, the franchise has been dormant since 2012. Back then, with Downpour and Homecoming, it felt like the franchise was starting to lose its edge, you know? For anybody other than the hardcore fans, it never felt like the franchise quite lived up to that legendary run of Silent Hill 1 through 4. Obviously, you can debate some of that, but I'm just generalizing here. So, with Silent Hill F, they went back to the drawing board completely. Like, new time period, new setting, new character, almost a completely different type of horror and presentation in some aspects. So, to not mince words here, right up front, Silent Hill's return is really solid. It's a pretty good game. It's not quite incredible. It's weird and flawed and sometimes frustrating, but it also scared me a few times. Ooh. It's dripping in really good atmosphere, beautiful art, great environment design, and managed to try things and show me things that I haven't seen in a video game before. Some memorable moments. Look, I got quite a few complaints. It might sound like I'm hating on some aspects, but I want to make it clear, I'm glad I played through it. All Silent Hill games have flaws. There are some incredibly memorable moments and just cool-ass stuff here, and some of it is going to stick with me. I'd say diehard fans with an open mind, absolutely try it. More casual horror fans, maybe wait or watch some other reviews, but yeah. So I've been playing a review copy, and just so you know, this video is extremely spoiler-free, and this footage was captured running on a PS5 Pro. So, in Silent Hill F, you play as Hinako, She's a young girl in 1960s Japan in a small, quiet, kind of washed up town. And look, you're not going to believe this. The town gets taken over by a mysterious fog, and weird, grotesque monsters show up. So you venture through this foggy town, you're fighting monsters, also sometimes ending up transported to another strange world, all while not really sure what is real and what isn't. So a pretty authentic Silent Hill-y experience. And it's a pretty straightforward, if sometimes super linear, third-person survival horror experience. I am personally really glad they didn't try and reinvent the wheel here. Silent Hill, if anything, has been survival horror with some weird sticking points, and that's once again the case here. So combat, there is quite a bit of it in the game, actually more than I expected. This feels like one of the biggest changes, and I'm kind of mixed on it. Combat in Silent Hill games has never really been incredible, but I'm not going to give it a free pass completely here. It is a good mix of slow and deliberate while still very active at the same time, if that makes sense. So you have a very small stamina bar to worry about for attacks and dodging.
I mean, it's a little
you can get
girl.
a perfect dodge and have a small window of opportunity, and even occasionally parry an enemy attack for bonus damage. Despite that empowering stuff, right, the main character is still slow and weak like a good survival horror game protagonist. So it's an interesting mix. One minute you can feel badass with like a perfect dodge, and then in another you can take a big swing of your weapon like a pipe or a crowbar at an enemy and completely miss. And since the animations are so slow, you can feel helpless in like a good survival horror way. You also have a sanity meter, which you need to spend carefully. If you run out of sanity, enemies that do sanity damage will instead whittle away at your health. This sanity meter lets you do special focus attacks that hit harder and potentially parry enemies easier. Items or prayer checkpoints can help fill the sanity meter back up. And on the normal difficulty, it's manageable, but turn it up and it's something you're going to need to pay attention to way more. My only issues with the combat are that in close quarters, like, you know, interior sections and in small rooms, the game will often throw you an enemy, and it really turns into a mess. The camera gets jammed up, the lock-on already isn't great, so it just feels painful to deal with enemies in small indoor places, and you do a lot. And the other thing is, there's just a lot of combat and not enough variation throughout. So towards the end, it just feels like you get spongier enemies, the same enemies you've been fighting for hours and hours. So, you know, whacking the hell out of an enemy you met 10 hours ago that was scary then, but isn't scary anymore, and you just keep smacking them until it dies and it's not going down for like 7 or 8 hits, it just gets kind of grating and dull after a while. There are some shakeups here and there, but by the end, I just really didn't look forward to another combat encounter. Also, there is weapon degradation. You can find more weapons or like repair kits to fix one you currently have, so it makes exploring off the main path a bit of a risk reward because the game is so combat heavy and the weapons are so breakable. It's always just happy to throw you more enemies. So was breaking your weapon fighting 2 enemies on a side path worth it just to grab some extra healing items? It's going to be up to you. Like I said, risk reward. It can be stressful, and I do actually think it might piss some players off, but I didn't mind it. I kind of liked it. Still, combat has some good moments, and as much as I wanted more enemies and creatures, I will say they are mostly really awesome. I think there's like 1 or 2 misses that feel a little more generic, but like every other grotesque monster otherwise is a banger. Like just really gross, nasty, cringe-inducing in the best Silent Hill-esque ways, but also kind of with a different flavor. And that's kind of the theme of the whole game. Now, in terms of progression stuff, as you explore, you're going to find items to cash in at a shrine, like they're like save points, to spend on what are essentially perks, better health, a little better stamina, a bonus when dodging, smaller things like that. The shrine also lets you cash in normal items, like, you know, a health or a sanity restoring item or something like that. So inventory can be stressful because Hinako never has enough room, and you're always juggling too many items on normal difficulty. Still, the opportunity to trade in a valuable item for a potential valuable upgrade is a nice option. The inventory management just feels a bit messy and unorganized, and there's just too many different item types that often end up doing the same thing. Now, like I said, in typical Silent Hill game fashion, you're in the town, but then you're also transported to darker, creepier places, and I think that the second area you're transported to is kind of 50-50. It starts off like a total, I don't know, slog. Like, it's just boring and dull, but it eventually gets a little more interesting. Still, it's never as visually incredible as classic Silent Hill worlds, but conceptually, you know, some of the ideas they have going on in this world is cool and is worth it. Now, there are quite a bit of puzzles in this game, and the puzzles, which have their own difficulty slider, which I use the default one, and I still found them to be very challenging. Some of the puzzles really stuck me. Some of them I felt like they kind of like changed up their rules and didn't follow the rule. Like, it's hard to explain, but maybe I'm dumb. Some of the puzzles I really struggled with. Some of them made me pull my hair out. The game also does commit the sin of locking you in a room, because it is so linear. It locks you in a room and says, hey, you're not leaving, you're not progressing in the game until you solve this puzzle right in front of you. And that can be a little frustrating at times. Still, I think despite some of them being frustrating, they all felt unique, none of them felt repetitive, and, you know, as much as they pissed me off, there is still some good puzzle design here. Also, not to mention the fact that, like, puzzle clues and certain hints and things like that are kept in Hinako's journal, kind of like a Nathan Drake-style journal thing that you can open up and see updated in real time throughout the game. It is worth visiting this journal all the time just because it's interesting, it has clues, and it has additional story context, which I will say, the story, there is a lot of stuff on the ground, pages, books, things to read, you know, scraps of lore. It's worth checking out all of that because the story on the surface is vague. It's intentionally vague, but in a way that I think leads it to a lot of really fun interpretation. And I will say that, again, without spoiling anything, I think the story was the best aspect of this game. I don't know if it's going to satisfy everybody, but I think Silent Hill fans are going to have some fun with it. And I just found myself, you know, as much as it was pretty linear and sometimes the combat frustrated me, like, I just kept playing. I was hooked because I wanted to see what was going to happen next in the story. And I think that's important for these types of games. Also, visually, the game looks really damn good. As much as, like, the other world you're transported to fell a little flat in some aspects, the town and all the interiors you explore are filled with all kinds of cool little details. All the enemy types are gross and dripping with, like, disgusting horror details. The atmospheric effects, the soundscape, while nothing quite as memorable as Silent Hill 2, it still works really well for building tension and atmosphere. There are some moments of this game visually that were just like jaw-dropping. I'd see some horrific thing in front of me or just catch a good angle of the town and I would go, wow, the art direction here is absolutely on point. And visually, playing on PS5 Pro, I didn't have any issues. It seems to be in a better state than Silent Hill 2 Remake was. It was smooth on my end. Again, I'm not Digital Foundry or anything like that. I'm not counting pixels, but I did notice that towards the end of the game, despite the frame rate being solid throughout, towards the end of the game, I did find a couple of sections where it was a bit more choppy. Not game breaking and not like, you know, like it's like a deal breaker or anything like that, but worth pointing out. And there is a New Game Plus mode, which I think is very important to point out here for like something that I think is good and something that I think is bad. On the one hand, New Game Plus is heavily encouraged because, first of all, the difficulty mode differences make a difference, and that's good. But also, New Game Plus has a lot more content in terms of additional interiors I've seen, new items, new puzzles, new story elements, and it does feel like a lot more gets filled out throughout playing New Game Plus. And that's important to note. The only problem with that is I was pretty burnt out by the combat by this point. Like I said, by the end of the game, I was like, ugh, not another combat encounter. So jumping into New Game Plus, which I have spent some time in, I at first really didn't want to do it because I didn't want to deal with any more combat. But the amount of stuff they add in it actually surprised me. A good and a bad there, but I definitely think that the New Game Plus playthroughs are required. And ultimately, to come back around, the biggest thing for me is like I want to see a good Silent Hill story, something that's interesting, weird, strange, and dark, and is also willing to take on subjects, you know, subject matter that other games don't. Silent Hill has always kind of like pushed the boundaries there on what it touches on, and Silent Hill F does deliver in that regard. That's what I was looking for. I got it, and like I said earlier, I was hooked. I wanted to see what happened next. So I think this is a good return to the world of Silent Hill. Although I don't think it's like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece or anything like that, it is a good adventure with an interesting story, some decent payoff, a little bit of weird combat bits, but something I think Silent Hill fans should definitely give a try. But that's a before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I want...
A lot of shit released. A
Welcome
got
back
Phillies.
to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. So Mario Kart World is great. It's a very good kart racer. Depending on what mood you're in, it could possibly be the best of the modern Mario Karts. But for a variety of reasons, it does feel like it's just about the perfect time to put a Sonic racing game out. There are a lot of people that are hungry for mascot racing, and the Sonic Racing series, if you want to call it that, it's had some pretty wild fluctuations in quality, as is inherent in the Blue Hedgehog and his games. The last game was from 2019, Team Sonic Racing. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't all that hot either. And we're kind of sitting at an opportunity for Sega to beat Nintendo at their own game. This time around, Sega put together an all-star team of racing experts to work with Sonic Team in an effort to make their best Sonic racing game yet. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRix, that game is Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So this one's moving away from the team-focused previous game, and instead brings in the alternate vehicle modes from Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Weird name, I know. I always called it Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed with 2 colons, but I don't know why I did that. It's just Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. It's probably the best Sonic racing game up to this point. A lot of people look at that game as one of the standard bearers in the mascot kart racing genre.
That game was
it's not exactly like
A1,
it's
bro.
a densely populated genre, but it's a great game. So seeing Crosswords borrow from that game so liberally, it's only a good thing in my book, and I had nothing but high hopes for this one when I first jumped in, but I'll say, for the first few hours, I kind of struggled to like it. Probably one of the more important things to remember here is that it's not the same thing as Mario Kart. I mean, this is something you needed to know about All-Stars Racing Transformed as well. Any Sonic racing game. There's a lot of stuff that is superficially similar to Mario Kart. It has power-ups, it has drifting, but these things work slightly differently here. Even fans of the previous Sonic racing games, however, will have to relearn a few things, because this game doesn't feel quite the same as those either. It's definitely its own beast. And while normally that wouldn't really matter a lot, Crosswords is a mascot racer that actually wants to challenge you. When you're playing solo, the game doesn't just give you the I win button. It doesn't hand you races if you're struggling. You gotta step up and actually win, which can feel kind of tough at first, but once you get the hang of it, and I did get the hang of it, it's ultimately an extremely satisfying racing game and an excellent alternative to Mario Kart World. It's certainly not flawless, and it's not quite as accessible as the competition, but there's depth here that's really satisfying. The tracks are really, really good. They're well designed, they're full of secrets and shortcuts. Each race transforms from driving to flying to cutting through waves on boats. It's consistently thrilling, and it is super fun all around. I bet you didn't expect me to say that. Yeah, I've been trying to take you on a little roller coaster ride in the opening minutes of this. We try to do things a little different here. We're not just trying to piss you off for clicks. We're trying to say what we think. We're trying to make it fun. So if you, like many people on this website watching our videos, are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I don't want to throw it in your face too hard, but we really appreciate it. It helps us a lot. Hopefully it helps you see stuff you want. Not going to get too annoying with it. Let's get back to Crossworlds. So what makes this different in the most serious way is the Crossworlds gimmick. I emphasize that word for a reason. Instead of simply racing through a single track, this game's full of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart style portals that transport you to new tracks in the middle of the race. When I first heard about this concept, I was a little worried it might make every track feel anonymous, like the game would be very randomly generated feeling, even if it was not necessarily randomly generated. But the actual concept, it's really simple. For each race, you got the main track. Halfway through the race, 2 portals appear. The player who is in first place chooses which portal to go through. That takes you to a special Crossworlds track. That acts as lap 2 of the race. Once that's over, you're transported back to the original track for lap 3, where the track has changed somehow with some shortcuts or power-ups Some parts of the track are sometimes even totally different. So essentially, it's All-Stars Racing transform tracks with a portal gimmick in the middle. There's 24 tracks in total in the base game. They split up into 8 3-race Grand Prix and 15 of these special cross-world tracks that you will randomly get teleported into. It's a solid selection of tracks that adds a lot of fun variation to each track without dragging things down too much or getting too far away from the traditional 3-lap structure we all kind of want when we're playing one of these games. Crossworld strikes a really good balance between being a traditional racer while bringing in new ideas, and that, I mean, without question, that is easily one of the best parts about it. A good amount of tracks is essential for our racer, but what else has Crossworlds got? Well, there's some single-player stuff and an online mode that's not quite as fleshed out as you might hope. There's a little more here to keep you around than something like Mario Kart World, but there's no big single-player campaign mode or something like in All-Stars Racing Transform. You basically got the Grand Prix mode, the race park, and of course, this is a racing game, so you're really here for multiplayer action. That being said, it's nice that these games give you a little more to sink your teeth into. The Grand Prix mode, it's basic, but they do mix things up a little bit by introducing rivals who are random characters who put in a little more effort than your usual kart racer in TC. These guys are a constant thorn in your side. They, even on the lower standard difficulty, are constantly nipping at your heels. It's not that different from how Mario Kart works, where they randomly select a racer who just tends to do better in every race than everybody else, except it's more of a specific game mechanic here, because your goal is to defeat the rival more so than even just finishing in first place. After you beat one, the game will give you an option of taking on a more difficult rival, and let me tell you, the upgrade maybe once doesn't seem like a lot, but a few times these guys start to get pretty scary good. You have to race almost perfectly to even stand a chance. And thankfully, there's nothing that forces you to take on tougher rivals. It's just an optional thing you can do if you want. So if you want to stick to the easier ones, the game doesn't punish you for it. Grand Prix are the primary single-player mode, and I did mention Race Park, which can be played solo, but the game recommends you use it for multiplayer. Here's the thing. You can't run Race Park online, so you can only do multiplayer local stuff here. Not that that's necessarily bad. The mode has some of the more team-focused gameplay modes that play a little closer to Team Sonic racing. It's an interesting idea that I'm glad they didn't entirely abandon, because it is a unique alternative way to play the game. I will say I kind of appreciate it a lot more as a alternative way to play the game rather than the main way. It's weird. Sometimes weird is good, but sometimes it's not. And I'll say that it's pretty fun in small doses. The gimmick here is taking on a team of rivals. If you beat them 3 times in whatever race, you unlock new vehicles. The last single-player mode available is Time Trials, which is usually an afterthought in games like this, but they do one thing that really encourages me to do Time Trials. You unlock new soundtracks by earning 3 A ranks, and that's no easy feat. However, despite the fact they can be pretty demanding, and I mean it, you really do have to optimize your performance and nail the racing to get the A. They do not just give them away, but man, is it worth it to jam out on the incredible Sonic Mania soundtrack while racing. The original soundtrack for this game isn't bad, but I feel like it didn't get the kind of effort that the mainline Sonics get. For whatever reason, they really go heavy on the synthesized chorus. Like every final lap, the digital chorus comes in behind the regular track. I find it kind of grating. It's a little shrill and annoying depending on the track. Not every track, but most of them. Sometimes it's really not bad. I'm not going to say it's bad every time, but there are a few of them where I'm tempted to mute the audio. It just sounds discordant, like a wall of atonal noise slapping you in the face. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too hard about the music, but when I'm trying to race, it's distracting for me. I'm definitely a music guy, so it's probably more important to me than somebody who isn't a music guy. But being able to swap that out with something else, particularly the Sonic Mania soundtrack, it's a much appreciated option. I don't want to rag on it too hard because there is good stuff. It is a Sonic game, so like they have to at least hit sometimes. But a few tracks I just did not like them, and they really stand out. It's probably a me thing. Don't listen to me if you don't agree. It's music, it's taste. Obviously, that's going to vary from person to person. But while you're playing Grand Prix or doing Race Park or attempting time trials, you're always earning tickets, and these can be used to unlock new machine parts and other stuff like decals in the friendship menu. Another thing the game lets you do is restart any race using tickets, which is actually really handy because you don't have to restart the entire Grand Prix over again if you screw up on the final lap. You just redo the race and hopefully do better. Tickets are fairly cheap, but anything in the friendship menu it's a grind. They want 400 tickets for basic stuff and way more past that. So if you want to unlock this stuff, it's going to take some time, but at least most of it isn't going to be a big deal. There is, of course, the online mode, and it's pretty basic at the moment, but my experience with it has been quite seamless. I was able to get into races without any real issues or hitches, and every race felt buttery smooth on PS5. No complaints here. The standard online mode is World Match, where you automatically queue into a lobby and everyone picks the next race they want to do. Whichever track gets the most votes, that's what's played. I mean, it's good in some ways and bad in others. If you don't like a popular track, you're SOL. But there's world ranking of sorts that determines the players you're going to get paired up with, and going up the ranking can unlock new gadgets. And another thing about this game is the gadgets. So you gotta give this game credit for making different types of racers actually feel different. Characters have 5 different archetypes: speed, acceleration, handling, power, and boost. If you've played Mario Kart, at least 4 of these you're gonna immediately recognize, but boost is a little different. These characters are really good at using boost, and the vehicle associated with them is the hoverboard from Sonic Riders, which is not a game I expected them to be referencing in 2025, but I'm not upset about it, certainly. That's actually one of the most fun archetypes to use, too. You can just go absolutely nuts boosting constantly. Like most mascot racers, this game is all about generating boost by drifting and jumping and doing stunts in the air, and the boost type characters and vehicles are especially good at it. Now, their stats will vary wildly depending on the vehicle, and if it says the handling or acceleration is low, it's going to be really low. Like, accelerating will feel like it takes forever if it is actually low, and handling isn't as good. It can feel like you're trying to steer a brick sideways. So even compared to most games of this type, trying to play as a power character can be tough. Thing is, here, with gadgets, you can even things out. This is another returning element from Transformed. It lets you attach up to 6 upgrades in a race. You can do something like improve handling or make it so you don't slip on ice. That's the basic stuff. There's also some like ability to hold 3 power-ups instead of 2. Swap a different power-up in at will. They add a lot of character building to the game. I don't really know how balanced they are. Seems like some of it could be really overpowered online, but that's also just a gut feeling. I can't say that I have used all of it online. I mean, there's a lot going on in this game, and the way it's possible to swap between tracks mid-race is impressive, but the game, I don't want to say it's wowing me with the graphics per se. The actual tracks are really creative and fun to race through, and there's really solid art direction, but you can tell this game was built for the Switch. Most of the random bits on the map are pretty low poly. The crowds of Chow are just flat 2D sprites. The menus are sometimes weirdly laggy at times, like they're running at a different frame rate from the races. It feels weird. I don't really know what's going on with it, and I don't really care that much. It's not a game breaker or anything. Sonic Team isn't always the most polished developer, but they deliver on the gameplay. There are some minor problems, and I wouldn't say they hurt the game much, especially if you're playing on Switch 2. The one last thing I want to bring up is power-ups. This time around, they feel a lot more like Mario-style power-ups than the ones in All-Stars Race Transformed. They're more powerful, they're potentially more annoying, and there are more of them. They pretty much directly copied that one annoying power where the screen gets covered in ink. They just made it green. It does change the tempo of races to make them feel slightly more chaotic than older Sonic racing games. But I also think they do a good job balancing it out with a lot of defensive power-ups that can neutralize pretty much any other power-up easily. So it actually doesn't feel like you're getting punished just for being in first place. I think, keep in mind, this is not a sure thought, but I think I kind of prefer the older, less obtrusive power-ups from Transform. That said, I respect what they did here. They threaded the needle pretty well, bringing in more crazy power-ups while keeping the gameplay more skill-oriented. It's not just random chaos. It can feel a little bit like random chaos, but it's not. And that's Sonic Racing Crossroads. Anybody who likes these kart racers but is suffering Mario Kart fatigue is...
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. The original Dying Light is a classic of the open-world zombie genre. Whatever it was that developer Techland was doing with that game, it just worked. In 2022, they followed it up with Dying Light 2, stayed human, and to make a long story short, it didn't work out nearly as well as the first. It's not a terrible game or anything, but it didn't live up to the promise of the original. They made a lot of unnecessary changes that took away from what made the original game so unique and fun, and the past few years, Techland has kind of desperately attempted to update the sequel to fix its weaker elements, but even with them doing stuff like making the night more dangerous and adding in certain guns
He was
years
still
later,
overpowered.
it feels a little tacked on and half-baked. Like there's a difference between getting the recipe right and putting more frosting on the cake. It wasn't the game many fans of the original, including myself, wanted, and after all those years, they still never really fixed the janky, less polished elements of the second game.
Oh.
With Dying Light, the Beast, the development team seems dead set on giving fans of the first game what they want. The first game's protagonist, Kyle Crane, is back, once again voiced by Roger Craig Smith, aka Chris
Sonic.
Redfield and Sonic the Hedgehog. The Volatiles are back in force, with Night meant to be scarier than ever. Guns are back, parkour is less floaty, vehicles are around, there's a more linear story in pretty much every way. The Beast is billing itself as the true follow-up to the original game, and its highly regarded expansion, The Following. Even as a sometimes reluctant defender of the sequel, these sound like they're welcome changes. But the big question is, does the game pull it off? After all, The Beast was originally going to be the second DLC for Dying Light 2 before getting massively expanded after Big Data Leak spoiled their original plans. At the end of the day, this thing is still built on the bones of Dying Light 2, so can it really be that much better? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and that's what we're talking about today. Dying Light 2, The Beast. And I'm happy to report Techland pulled it off. The Beast is much closer to the original game, for better and for worse, mostly, though, for the better. And while this game is still very clearly built off Dying Light 2 and retains some disappointing elements of that I'll get into later, it's much bigger and better than a simple expansion pack. The plot, like pretty much every Dying Light game, is pretty thin. But at least here it stays focused and it doesn't interrupt the action so much. Kyle Crane returns as a haunted man trapped and experimented on for years by the Baron, your classic Euro bad guy with a turtleneck. These experiments have transformed Crane into a half-man, half-monster who can become the Beast, gaining superhuman strength and agility to manhandle the zombie horde for a few satisfying seconds while the power is active, giving Roger Craig Smith a second opportunity to voice the Werehog. I'm sorry. I just like bringing up Sonic Unleashed. It's gotten a bit of a reevaluation, and at least semantically, it bears a resemblance to this game. I've brought it up literally every time I've brought up Dying Light 2. This is Roger Craig Smith as the serious Werehog. No, it's really not. You're a guy who wants revenge, and essentially, you have superpowers now. I was initially worried about that in terms of it being overpowered, but the game actually does a really good job limiting how strong this ability is for a while. Most of the upgrades are gated by story progress, so you can't get too strong too early. And I make fun of the game for bearing a passing resemblance to Sonic Unleashed. It also bears a more than passing resemblance to Jak 2, you know, the sequel to Jak and Daxter. You're a grouchy guy, you can go Super Saiyan, you're fighting an evil baron who lives in a big castle. Simple but effective, drives the action, doesn't bog things down. There's not a bunch of dickhead characters who constantly betray you like in Dying Light 2. It keeps things simple, and that is to its benefit.
There was too many of
nobody's
them.
playing Dying Light for the plot. Like, even the first game's story is pretty sloppy and awkward at times. The stories are more or less there to provide you a motive to do all the cool things, and this one hits the right beats. It's not annoying to sit through. It's not too annoying to sit through. Sometimes it is annoying, but it's not so annoying. But that means it is a significant step up.
It got better
Dying Light
story
2.
writers.
Another improvement is the game's setting, Castor Woods, a formerly idyllic rural village in the Swiss Alps. This is just about the perfect location for an open world adventure. It's big enough where it feels like there's a lot of ground to cover, but the actual size is relatively small. If anything, it's less spread out than the map from The Following. The original Dying Light, there wasn't fast travel, and it's the same here. So there is, of course, the threat of being caught at night, out wandering around. But getting around also doesn't take so long that it feels tedious, most of the time. I mean, sometimes it's going to get a little old returning to the town hall for the umpteenth time, but for the most part, the map is really well designed. It's fun to explore, a lot of visually interesting and varied places to visit. I mean, it's got a lot going for it, Castor Woods. The visual standout is, of course, the actual town. It's very dense, a lot of interiors to parkour through, while being satisfyingly vertical and visually interesting. Out of the more rural sections of the map, you can steal a car, you can go for a joyride. The vehicle, it's also going to be handy to have, but it's not a requirement this time. The game doesn't do something like the following, where you have a single vehicle to customize and upgrade. You're free to just grab any pickups lying around the map. Cars can be damaged and can run out of gas, so that's a concern, but the whole vehicle system is not nearly as complex as it was in the following, and I think that suits the game more. I think it's honestly better. The vehicle complexity thing was, if anything, maybe one of the only things I didn't particularly like about the following. It was kind of the whole thing, and there's a lot to like about the following, but I feel like if there was one thing I would change, it's that. I don't know. It's tough to talk about because it does a great job, but at the same time, it does a great job while being anchored in something that I wouldn't have done. I like this system, is what I'm saying. How you actually move around and fight, it feels similar to Dying Light 2, especially the combat. Like, it's mostly the same, mechanically speaking. Parkour feels similar, only it's a little heavier and more deliberate than the floaty jumping in the second game. Not a massive change, but it's noticeable. And I've waited a while to get to this, but yes, night is actually dangerous again in the Beast. I still do not know why Dying Light 2 ditched the most terrifying, memorable, and honestly unique part about the first, like the night is its identity. The game is called freaking Dying Light. It's about how when the light dies, everything gets crazier. Okay? And then the second one is just like, oh, it's night in the open world, everyone. There's not as much light, is there? The light died. It died. Not fully, though, because, I mean, you can see a lot better this time around than the first time. It's more like the first one, is what I'm saying, before I get too far into that little bit. You don't need bits to know that this is better than Dying Light 2. When you're caught out at night is dangerous. Volatiles patrol the streets, and if they get a sniff of you, they aggressively pursue you. And when that happens, the only real thing to do is make a mad dash back to a safe zone, because it's pointless trying to fight these things. There's too many of them. They give you basically nothing in terms of rewards. It's just a big resource sink, which is honestly how it should be. Like, getting into combat at night shouldn't feel good. It shouldn't feel like something you go towards, you're trying to do. You should feel rewarded for not getting into combat at night. And to some extent, you definitely are. It's possible to sneak around at night. You don't have the vision cones in the UI, though, so it does make keeping track of various volatiles location a little bit hard, and that means you will bumble into one of these guys by mistake at some point. There's a bit of a risk-reward system going, very similar to the originals. You get double the experience at night. There's volatile nests and special bolter zombies, lots of loot to kill. They only come out at night, but it's mostly risk, not that much reward. There's certainly not all of the zombies out at night. As I said, it's a resource sink other than a few of them. And the only real reason to go out at night is during the rare mission that can only be needed at night. It's just not worth the effort otherwise, and I like that. I know it might sound like that's a negative, but it's not. I like the system. They succeeded in making the night feel dangerous. It still doesn't quite get as dark as the original game. Maybe that's something with the Dying Light 2 engine. I don't know why they can't seem to get that part right in any game after the first, but again, it's better. It's honestly so much better that it's not something I would regard as too big of a critique. I mentioned the Beast transformation earlier, though, and since we're talking mechanics, I want to elaborate that a little bit more. As you kill enemies and take damage, you get a red meter under your health bar. It builds up. Once it fills up all the way, you automatically transform it into a killing machine for a few glorious seconds. This was the mechanic I was easily the most worried about in terms of this game. I thought it might completely ruin the delicate balance of the game, make things way too easy, and this is just not the case. When you do transform, it takes a while to build up, and it feels rewarding. You can stop worrying about zombies for a second, just clean house. It's great. It's like a full-ass old-school charge meter with a special move at the end. Like, it's delightfully video gamey. Rare enough not to make things too easy. Kind of annoying that it triggers immediately when your meter fills up, so it could happen at the tail end of a fight. And I do also think the lack of control keeps beast mode from being too powerful early on. You eventually do learn to control it, you can trigger the move at will, but it still never completely overwhelms everything else. You still mostly use melee weapons and the occasional firearm for dealing with zombies and the Baron's military military forces. On the topic of firearms, I would say I think they're pretty well done here. The game gives you a lot of guns early on, but the limiting factor is ammo. Like, you're pretty short, and the firearms that you do get aren't always that effective against certain enemies, so guns are far from an I win button in the way that they were in the first game. They come in handy sometimes, but you're never just running and gunning like it's a first-person shooter. You're limited by the rarity of ammo, and I think that's a pretty good compromise. And, I mean, take it all. It's overall just a fun game. Doesn't overstay its welcome. You can get through the main story in about 20 hours. If you want to do everything, you could probably easily double that number. There's a lot of the usual side quests, collectibles. They're worth doing. Like, the side quests are surprisingly high quality. They usually take you to some new locations or have you do something that's actually genuinely interesting. It's not just a boring fetch quest. And for the most part, they feel on par with the main quest in terms of variety and quality. Some of the side stuff isn't great. The dark zones are the boring Dying Light 2 versions. They're basically small rooms with a few zombies in them rather than the mini dungeons that they were in the first Dying Light. Another way this game is clearly an extension of Dying Light 2, though, is, and there's tons of material to loot. Like, you go through a metric ton of crafting materials. You really have to be a pack rat to have all the crap the game wants you to have to build new weapons and consumables. Like, everything takes a ton of resources, so if you're trying to upgrade weapon blueprints or just build a few grenades, it's going to cost a lot of stuff that you probably don't have. Also, like with Dying Light 2, most of the best stuff has to be crafted. It's generally a system I don't like as much as the original game. It's just too much crafting for what should be a zombie action game. Doesn't ruin the game, but it's just an area where the sequel's DNA is still showing. Another big, kind of completely new thing about the Beast, though, is how it emphasizes boss fights. To power up your Beast form, you need to take on Chimera enemies who are all unique fights with a health bar and everything. It's a cool idea, and I like how each one of these guys has their own grotesque design and special abilities, but they're all massive damage sponges that, while there are positive elements, aren't massive fun to actually fight. I didn't find them bad or annoying. I like the idea of them, but as much as the game tries to make them a big deal, they don't stand out that much. If anything, that's the problem with them. One thing that does stand out is the updated damage models, because, man, this game gets violent. You can decimate a zombie by cracking them on their head a few times, and it's sickening how far the game goes with it. Honestly, I probably can't show a lot of this stuff. It's pretty gore-oriented. Like, there's stuff we couldn't show in the Dead Space footage when we were talking about the remake of that game.
It's way more
here,
away
or at least it feels like it's more. I don't know. It's got takedown kill animations. They're basically this game's version of the glory kill, and they're very satisfyingly so.
Put
if
it
that's
louder.
Your thing. I'll say the way you can slice and dice zombies isn't necessarily quite as impressive as something like Dead Island 2. The variety of damage isn't quite as high, but it is very gross. There's a lot of variety on display. Maybe not quite as impressive, but also not fully built around it. And for what it is, it's quite nasty. Unfortunately, while the graphics are pretty impressive, the game still has that Dying Light smear over the whole thing that makes it look weirdly blurry and washed out at times. It's definitely a big step up over the predecessor, but it does have some
I turned that off.
of that previous
That's
game,
that blur.
especially when you're some of the denser locations like the old town.
You turn that blur off. You won't have that no more.
Directly over from the sequel, like these winches that you can use.
You got to turn the blur off
quickly, and
turn the motion blur off
whenever you use them.
So
for all the ways the Beast tries to improve the animation quality and overall polish, there are still odd parts that stand out as less polished than they could be. Ultimately, though, this is a huge step up from the previous game. It does a lot to ground the game in the design principles of the original Dying Light, makes improvements here and there that are legitimately, like, taking the series forward. At times, you're going to be saying to yourself, it does feel like an expansion pack for Dying Light 2. It's clearly built on that game. It's not starting from scratch. It's not a total overhaul, but it's a lot better. Like, a lot better. If we stay going in this direction, the next Dying Light game is going to be great. This is a great game. In all seriousness, I would call this a great game. I just wouldn't call it the overhaul that everybody is asking for, and that's partly because this thing fully started as an expansion pack. And there's just unavoidable aspects of starting a project from that point, particularly in the engine, but that doesn't mean it's not a whole lot better. It is. This game is worth checking out if you're not totally burnt out on zombie games, because this one is very fun, and it does not overstay its welcome. You're always making progress and advancing the plot. You're unlocking cool new weapons and abilities. The setting probably is my favorite of the whole franchise. And what made your first Dying Light work so well is it's this careful balancing act between power fantasy and horror. The Beast walks that line even finer by introducing the Beast powers, and while overall I'm not completely sure it works as well as the original game, it is a big step up from the second game. In some respects, it does have improvements over the original game, and it's just an all-around fun open-world zombie game. I think fans of this series, particularly fans of the original game, are going to appreciate where this game goes. But what do you think? Leave us a comment. Let us know. If you like this video,
all right, that's all I got time for today. I'm off this.